Hi, my name is Ed, and I have decided to start a brand new podcast called Scam Busters, Ed's expert advice on fraud protection. And the reason I'm starting this is because I have recently had some family members that have been scammed out of money, attempted scams from other family members, and stories from friends, questions from other family members on, is this a scam, is it not? And it's coming from all different directions. It's coming from email, texts, all sorts of different things. So those are the primary ones that I've seen so far. But r/scams on Reddit has some awesome stories. Not awesome as in like great, but real helpful stories, because you can go right on there and you can see, hey, I got this email. Is this a scam? Is it not a scam? And chances are, if it's a scam, someone else has been through it, and it's right there when you search it. And usually it's right at the top if you sort it by newest, which is what I do for the most part for that one. So in this podcast, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through some different things that people have posted and just kind of review what it was. I'm going to go through some of the comments people made, and I'm going to also offer some suggestions to avoid future scams based on that story, some of the things that you can do. So let's go ahead and we'll get into the first story. So this one is by various_ad9010. Is there an endless Amazon packages scam? Yes, very, very common one lately. So, and here it goes. In these boxes are 20 cooling fans, $50 each on Amazon. And there's a picture of all the packages here. 22 fridge egg cartons, cannot locate on Amazon. And today I received 3 outdoor cushion sets, each valued at $69.99. They are not from my Amazon account. They have not been charged to my credit cards. They are addressed to my married name, despite the fact that Amazon account and most of my life is in my maiden name. I've asked everyone I can think of, and no one is copying to such an expensive prank. I've contacted Amazon, and we're told that these, in fact, were sent from Amazon and labeled as a gift, but they refuse to tell me the sender. Amazon has told me I can dispose of the items in a way I wish. Yeah, I've gotten that too before from Amazon. Is this a scam? Here are the ideas we've thought of. Drug parcels. Okay, so it's not usually drug parcels, where the sender will invade our house and collect their packages. So, I mean, that's possibly, that's not a bad idea that poster OP had thought of. An AI hacker scam that's broken into Amazon ordering systems, a terrorist plot to distribute explosives or bioterror weapons for coordinated attack across the U.S., a wealthy unknown friend paying a $200 or $20,000 prank or $2,000 prank, a toddler accidentally ordering from a friend's phone, Amazon automation error, or maybe a plot where we'll receive a very large bill for all the items at some point in the future after we've disposed of them. Yeah, that would really suck. So what this OP wants to know is it primarily is it a scam, and what do they do with all this stuff? So just to kind of summarize, the OP had shared concerns about receiving unexpected Amazon packages. They explained that the items that they didn't order, often inexpensive at random, began arriving at their home. They wondered if this was some sort of scam, like maybe a brushing scam used to manipulate seller rankings, or if their personal information had been comprised. So, some of the responses that were given, some really good responses. So, Jesse Dark explained that the brushing scam was in detail. He explained what it was, he or she. Sellers send unsolicited packages to inflate their reviews or create fake sales records. They reassured OP that while it's annoying, it is unlikely that their information is highly compromised. Just Checking Things says that suggested checking with Amazon to confirm no fraudulent purchases were made under their account. They also recommended verifying that their credit card or their payment methods weren't comprised. Never Trust George warned OP that their address may have been leaked in a data breach. They shared tips for checking if personal details were exposed using services like Have I Been Pawned. Thrifty Me says, advise the OP to keep the packages but monitor their accounts for any suspicious activity. They also suggested reporting the incident to Amazon directly. Hot Butter Scone shared a similar experience and noted that Amazon's customer service was not very helpful. They emphasized securing all accounts as a precaution, so that's always a good idea. SafeBet99 says, highlighted the possibility of identity theft and recommended taking proactive steps like freezing credit reports and changing passwords. So some good ideas from some good responses based on this. Possible brushing scams. So some of the things that you're going to want to do if you're in this kind of situation is you're definitely going to want to monitor your Amazon account. So check your Amazon account order for any unexpected or unauthorized orders. You're going to want to really look into your credit card statements for unexpected charges. So, you don't know. So always be checking your credit card statements anyways. And at some point, we'll talk about virtual credit cards and how they can really help you out in terms of helping avoid scams. Strengthen your security. Change your passwords for your online accounts, especially Amazon. Use a password manager for secure and unique passwords. And something that's always good, and I think that everybody really should think about doing this. I do it on pretty much everything it's available for. Is 2FA, which is two-factor authentication. And that generally means not only do you do your password, it will send a code to your email or your phone before it lets you in. So it's actually a really good idea to enable 2FA. I'm going to call it that because that's what I call it. And that's what you might see it listed as. Always a good idea to do that. So another idea would be to address data breach risks. Visit sites like Have I Been Pawned to see if your information was leaked in a data breach. You could check that out. Freeze your card with the major bureaus, Experian, TransUnion, Equifax to prevent fraudulent accounts from being opened in your name. Contact Amazon like OP did. Notify Amazon about unsolicited packages and find out what's going on. Is somebody ordering these from another account? Why am I getting these? So the main thing is, you want to make sure that you're not getting charged for these. And somebody before was pretty good, kind of scary, but decent idea from OP where they might thought that something illegal was being sent to them and that someone's going to come get it later. Who knows, right? So you don't, as much as it might seem like, hey, I'm getting all these gifts, it's not not always on the up and up for that. So report it to the authorities. If you're ever concerned, report it to the authorities, call the police, especially if you suspect identity theft, things like that. You want to get that reported right away. These steps can safeguard your personal information and prevent further scams. So you want to make sure that you're taking all precautions when something like this happens. All right. So that's an interesting story. So our next story, these are all recent ones, as of November 24th, 2024. And this one is from Key-Statement 7746. It's a pretty short one. It says, I am pissed off right now is the title. So my mom was going to take my family on a trip to get a new dog. Turns out she got scammed the night before. Not to mention she was scammed 2 times. She always goes on Facebook to buy dogs or whatever the hell she buys. The first time my mom got scammed was for a teacup poodle, and she said it was a scam. Just know it was a scam. The second time, she told me it wasn't a scam, and I reminded my mom that Facebook is not safe for buying things, and she won't listen. So here we are, scammed for $203, and we're feeling bad. Why do scammers do this shit? So a lot of that is in caps towards the end. The frustration is showing, rightfully so. You have people who aren't using computers all the time, who didn't grow up with all this stuff. So this stuff is tough to deal with. Somebody on Facebook selling a dog, it seems like pretty simple. You go pay for the dog, you get the papers, and that's the end of it. And then you get the dog, but nope, it isn't always that. So scammed out for $203. So basically, in a nutshell, this OP expressed anger and frustration after being scammed. They described how the buyer convinced them to ship the item before the payment was finalized. Such a common one. Citing various excuses and assurances. After shipping the item, the buyer disappeared, leaving OP without the payment or the item. So, yep. Super common. Super common. Hate to see it, but it is what it is. You got to make sure that you're aware. You're not paying for things that you don't see. Facebook, there's options to ship now. It has been for a while, and people buy these burner, or maybe they do buy them, because sometimes it's tough to get your Facebook account back if it gets knocked out, or if you get kicked off of it for whatever shady reason. So they might be buying accounts. And in terms of Facebook, really what I do personally when I sell something or when I buy something, I go to the Facebook profile and I want to make sure that it's not a profile that's been there for 2 days or even less sometimes. And that's a big red flag. When somebody has one post and one picture and that's it. Made 2 days ago. So you can almost bet that that person is a scam. So let's take a look at some of the replies that were given to this frustrated OP. Mega Shady says that this type of scam is common in online marketplace and urged OP to never ship items before receiving payment. They also highlighted the importance of verified payments like PayPal, goods, and services. So very important. Great point by Mega Shady there. So PayPal, goods, and services is different than PayPal, friends, and family. PayPal, goods, and services, when you pay that way, pay a little bit more money. The fee actually goes to the buyer, which they don't like a lot of times, but, that's too bad. If you pay through PayPal, goods, and services and someone scams you, that little bit of money that was taken is basically insurance. So you can get your money back by going through PayPal. But please, when you buy something from someone that you're not sure about, use PayPal, goods, and services. A real big red flag is if you don't know the person and they're specifically saying PayPal, friends, and family, you need to pay me by, it means they don't want the fee and they may or may not be a scammer. So great point by Mega Shady there. Careful Bunny suggested using platforms that offer seller protection, such as eBay or Depop, where transactions are mediated. They also advised avoiding direct transfers or cash apps like Venmo for sales. Great point. eBay has gotten to be a super safe place to buy. Sometimes I'm an eBay seller, not a big seller, but sometimes it's frustrating for the seller because the buyer now has so much power, and that's a reverse scam almost. That's another day to talk about. But yeah, so using eBay to buy will protect you. So I got my money back once a long time ago. eBay's always been pretty good, from PlayStation 4 that I bought and was never sent to me. So only really good experiences with eBay for me. So good point from Careful Bunny. Graham Hands Off 8 shared a similar experience. and emphasized that scammers often prey on sellers who are overly trusting. They recommended always verifying the buyer's reputation on the platform before proceeding with the sale. So that's a little bit what I just talked about a few minutes ago. Look at their profile. If someone sells a lot on Facebook, they might have a Facebook seller account, and you might be able to look at some of their feedback, but you always got to take feedback with a grain of salt. I know for a fact that you can buy feedback on Amazon at least, and boy, you really have to be careful about that. So, but yeah, I mean, like I said before, I think this poster is kind of getting to the same point that I did, where always look at their profile beforehand. Trading Safely advised OP to file a report with the local authorities and the shipping carrier if possible. They also mentioned that while recovery might be unlikely, creating a record of the scam could help prevent future incidents. So yeah, the idea that you want to let the authorities know so that they keep a lookout, even if you're not the one that's going to get your money back. It's good for the people. A selfless thing to do there. Straight Facts 101 highlighted the red flags in the buyer's behavior, such as rushing the deal, providing excuses for delays, and insisting on unsecure payment methods. They suggested OP educate themselves on common online scams. Great idea. And that's what that r/scams does for me, and it does for so many others. I go on there all the time. I have some family members that, they get very upset. They think that a call or an email or a text is real, and they freak out. And if I didn't know better, I would too. So I get it. And I am happy to say that there's been many times that I've been able to really calm the person down and say, don't worry about it. This is just a scam. Just happened the other day at work. So making people aware with threads like that on Reddit, and podcasts like this where we can talk about it and explain it, can really help. So that's how you beat the scammers. So if everyone knows it's a scam, it's a way to do it. All right. So just to kind of recap, suggestions to avoid this type of scam: again, to use only secure payment methods. Never ship before payment. Always wait for your payment to be completed and verified before you ship any item. If the buyer insists on shipping first, consider it a red flag and terminate the transaction. Okay, so going back to secure payment methods, this is my first podcast, so I'll get my ducks in a row shortly. I saw another note that I had made here. Avoid apps like Cash App, Venmo, and Zelle for people that you don't know. They're fantastic apps for people that you do know, friends, family. Go out to eat for dinner, Venmo the person, whatever. Zelle is fantastic. If you haven't used Zelle, it's instant. The money gets into your account. It's how we get our kids money. If they need something, we Zelle it to them, and then they have it even as they're waiting in line to pay. Great apps, just not great for dealing with people you don't know. Verifying buyer legitimacy, checking their ratings, be alert to red flags, people who rush the transaction. Sometimes people will ask for Bitcoin. Now that is a huge red flag. Someone wants you to pay in Bitcoin unless you use Bitcoin with that person, and that's something that's normal between the two of you. Bitcoin is more untraceable. And Bitcoin is probably one of the biggest red flags. So, and then of course reporting the scams. So great, two stories. Way to these two common scams to watch out for. So the last story we're going to go through today is from Usual Dog 8724. Wife and friend were scammed for information. Not sure what the scam would be called. Hi all, this was a very, very clever scam, as many of them are. Wife, who works in travel, received a message on Facebook saying that the very well-known international airport nearby was auctioning off all lost luggage. Years of lost luggage had been piling up, and they needed to get rid of it. Backed up by photos of the lost luggage spaces, full of luggage, obviously at our airport, signs obscured in the background, etc. All luggage had been scanned for dangerous substances, etc., so everything you could get would be inert. Clothing, cosmetics, normal stuff people travel with. All good information. All you need to do is pay US $1 and you get a randomly selected suitcase. My thoughts were that you'd get a perfectly usable, and knowing our airport, probably very expensive suitcase for $1, even if nothing was suitable. All the links looked genuine. I couldn't see anything wrong with them. I know the different government departments in our country often have weird URLs for their websites. I don't know what this particular one would have been, so it looked reasonable. My wife and her friend entered their credit card details, paid $1, and were then told the bag would be delivered within 48 hours. At this point, I realized it was a scam, because at no stage had the system asked for an address. Oh boy. Then the penny dropped. Our airport is not short of money, and sure, they would simply destroy any luggage that had been there for longer than a certain amount of time, rather than try and make a few dollars delivering random bags to random addresses around the city. What a scam. When we noticed, wife and friend immediately called the cards they used with their banks and ordered new ones. The whole thing, from opening to the original message to canceling cards, took no more than 15 minutes. Our country is awash with really obvious, awful scams performed by rank amateurs, such as the one group of mates has been running league on how long they can keep scammers on the phone, but this one was very clever. Be careful out there. All right, so this is one I have really not heard about too much. Obviously, they're just trying to get the credit card details so that they can pay for something else, buy something else. But boy, there's a couple of holes in this one. Not even asking for an address, that's a red flag there. So yeah, you got to be really careful. You really shouldn't be getting that credit card out too often, especially based on an email. I have some thoughts that I'll go over, but first I will go over some of the comments that were given. So before we do that, here's just a little post. Here's just a summary of the post. The OP shared a story about their wife and a friend falling victim to an information scam. A scammer contacted them pretending to be from a legitimate organization, asking for personal and financial details under the guise of verifying accounts or processing payments. The victims, trusting the caller, provided sensitive information. OP expressed concern about potential consequences like identity theft or financial fraud and sought advice on mitigating the damage. So that's the story in a nutshell. So, here's some responses. ID theft specialist urged OP to immediately freeze credit for all affected individuals and monitor accounts for unauthorized activity. They also recommended contacting the organization the scammer claimed to represent to confirm the breach. Okay, so just helping out, freezing your account and contacting that organization. So yeah, I mean, sometimes these things can look very legit, and that's a great idea. So, you know, the one I got the other day at work was just a random thing. Somebody tried to copy all the fonts and pictures from Netflix, sent everybody that worked at the place, hey, we've added a new perk, free Netflix for life for working here. It looked legit enough. And, yep, one of the letters that was in our organization's URL or their email address that's supposed to be an I was an L. So, yeah, caught that one. But, you know, people don't always, they're busy. They're busy. When they get an email when they're at work, or maybe they're taking care of their kids, or they're doing something else, you might click on something, or you might press the link. So that's what they count on. The next comment is beware fishers. They suggested to that OP review common phishing tactics with their wife and friend to prevent future incidents. They advise installing anti-phishing software and being cautious of unsolicited calls. So, yes, do it tactfully and not rudely with your spouse, because not everybody recognizes it right away. Maybe it's never happened to them before, and they're trusting people, and it's good to review it. That's going to be the common thing here, just being educated on what common tactics these scammers are using. Great piece of advice there. Real Watchdog emphasized the importance of reporting the scam to the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, and local authorities. They also suggested filing fraud alerts with credit bureaus. Okay, good. That's something that would be helpful. Two-step security, again, talked about 2FA on all accounts, especially banking and email. That doesn't directly relate to this story. It does. It's good advice anyways. But it's really good that this OP caught this with their spouse and the friend, and they called right away to cancel that credit card. I hope that, it doesn't say, but I hope that they caught it before anything was charged. And if it was within 15 minutes, I'm sure it was probably fine. Suspicious Bob highlighted the need for vigilance against social engineering tactics. They shared their own personal experience where scammers use convincing language to extract information and stress the importance of skepticism. Okay, so not always what you're going to hear from people. Be more skeptic. Be more of a skeptic. But yeah, before you put your card into something, or before you even click a link in your email, press or be skeptic. Think it's a scam. When you're at work, if something looks suspicious, there's probably a button there that you can report phishing. That's pretty common in Outlook, but always err on the side of caution, because if something's too good to be true, it probably is. And why is some random person trying to help you out? That is not how this world is right now. So, just to kind of summarize here, suggestions to avoid these kind of scams. Verify before sharing information. Never provide personal or financial details over the phone or online unless you initiated the contact. That is gold advice. If someone calls you and asks for a card, unless they're your friend or family member, do not give it to them. So even if they say, "Hey, this is Geico Insurance, we're calling to try and get your payments taken care of over the phone because you're late on it," say, "Oh, even if you are late, maybe you are." You can just say, "Okay, you know what? I'm going to call you back," and do that, or go on their website and do it. Never give financial details over the phone unless you initiated the contact. If contacted by someone claiming to represent a company, hang up and call the company directly using a verified number. Perfect. Secure financial and online accounts. Freeze it right away if you're not sure. If you get that sinking feeling, oh man, I may have gotten scammed. Usually you can go right onto your card website or your banking website and you can freeze it. There's a freeze option, or you can cancel it. So what? If you cancel it and it turns out not to be a scam, so what? Then you get a new card. Like, they're not going to make you pay for it. Use a different card for a few days until that happens. Play it safe. Stay educated about phishing scams. Yes, keep yourself educated. Again, I know I've said it many times today. Avoid clicking on links or opening attachments from unknown senders. Yes, that will be something we talk about, because that is a real common thing that they want you to do. Opening links and attachments from unknown senders. Reporting the incident again, as was stated by one of the commenters. in the replies. And, this is something easier said than done. And it's not even easy for me, really, because you get busy, you got things to do. But I do try to do it like usually once every couple weeks, is monitoring for unauthorized activity. And if I think something's a scam and I think that, oh, hey, this is not legit, maybe someone got our information, I'll ask my wife, is this something that is legit? I ask that sometimes, and sometimes it is, and a couple times it hasn't been, and that means that someone got our account. Not regularly, so that's good. So you should review your bank statements and credit reports for suspicious transactions. There's a whole bunch of different types of credit monitoring services. I like Credit Karma. My Discover card does it, I think, for free. We're talking like nothing. I just got something for work for 2025 that's going to help me with identity theft. So these services aren't expensive. Setting up alerts for unusual activity. Where possible, your credit card and your bank will usually have something there. Some credit card companies are more strict than others when it comes to that, and will monitor it and will send you a text. I know that Citizens Bank is pretty strict, and you can set it up so that any online transaction makes you do a 2FA. As far as I know. So that's one of the ones that's good there. But those are the 3 stories we have for today. I know that this was a little, I'm new at this. This is my first one, but trust me, my intent is really just to help. Make sure that you're fully aware of scams that are going on. And I'd like to read a couple stories every week and kind of go through what you can do about it, and just to keep you aware. You're driving to work, or you're listening to this at work, or just hanging out, just educating yourself and some interesting stories that happen to people. But yeah, it sucks. And the world we're living in is scam central. There's just scamming all the time. And, if you have a story that if something happens to you, I would strongly encourage you to join r/scams on Reddit. I don't work for them. I don't get paid any money to have them, to send people there. I just know how much it's helped me in the past, and still continues to. When I worry, or if someone gives me, one of my friends or family tells me something and I go on there, I am happy to be able to send them a link that allows them to go there and read about it and say, okay, I don't have to worry about this anymore. And then they get some sleep that night. So, all right. So we will end here. And until next time, really just be careful and play it safe when it comes to possible scams. Have a great night.